Hey everybody, Movie Right Next Door here, and hoping that I don't get more hate for this because I've already hit 1,000 views on my Art of War review, my short review, and just saw that I had like a 33% like ratio. I don't know what the fuck that's about. I guess it's just people that don't like me. I don't know why they don't like me. Whatever, but this time I'm reviewing the sequel to Art of War, The Art of War, The Art of War 2 Betrayal from 2008. And this thing I have here is a collection of all three. I do have The Art of War on its own, and then I got the trilogy because it was not a bad price at Dollar General. Um, but yeah, I was expecting to hate Art of War 2 way more than I did, and I think it's a solid sequel. It's definitely not as well directed as the first film, not by a mile. The direction in the first film was pretty stellar for such a decent movie. I still think Art of War 2 Betrayal is decent. I've had more fun with it. There's a lot of ridiculous stuff. There's, I'll say this, better action, better looking action, better done action, and more action. Uh, while there are some moments in the action of Wesley Snipes doing the whole which looks fucking ridiculous, I had more fun. So let me just get into the cast. Wesley Snipes was decent as Neil Shaw, not as good as in the first film, but he still has his moments of fun in this film. There's like a scene where he's fighting a dude with this weird like rocket pistol thing. It's kind of a final boss, I guess. I guess he's the main bad guy. There's like three main bad guys of this film, and there's also a big twist. Um, but I don't think well, yeah, I I I will do spoilers for this movie. I mean, it's not like anybody's gonna see this, so that they can know how ridiculous this gets. Um, oh fuck! I almost forgot to go through the plot. So this sequel has basically nothing to do with the first film. There are characters in this film that he'll be like, "Oh, my best friend ever," and they weren't in the first film. The first film had four times the budget of this film. Um, I mean that it's not like they're gonna bring back frickin' Donald Sutherland or what's her name? Marie Matiko. Excuse me. Jesus. But the sequel, he comes out. I'll just read the back of this. When Agent Neil Shaw comes out of hiding to avenge his former mentor's murder, he winds up on the trail of betrayal and lethal corruption. Under the charge of his friend and senatorial candidate, his mission is to set things straight. But when more people turn up dead, Shaw realizes that he's been framed. Now he's letting the fists fly where they may and get to the bottom of an assassination conspiracy that everyone thinks he's behind. It's time to turn up the political heat and enjoy the action of the martial arts master. Now, the whole everybody thinks it's him thing, that kind of plays into the film. I say kinda because this film has like three different plots in it, and it's a mess. I can say that this film is a fucking mess, but it's a fun mess. It's a fun mess that I wasn't like pulling my hair out because I was bored. I was having fun guessing the weird directions this film will go, and I'll tell you, when I get to the spoiler section, it gets really fucking weird. Where the ending goes. So I'll give it that. It's got balls, being so different from the first in many respects. And I like that it let it a bit more loose, because the first film did feel very kind of generic. Even though I thought it was decent, it did feel a bit generic. And I can understand why Wesley Snipes fans are usually forget this film and rather talk about Passenger 57 or Boiling Point, Drop Zone, Rising Sun, even what's the drag queen one? To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. That one. To Wong Fu. Even that, more Wesley Snipes fans talk about that movie than even Art of War. So, yeah, I can understand this film trying to distance itself, trying to be its own thing, and I'm kind of happy that it was its own thing, because I think a rehash of the first film just with worse effects, if they tried to do that fucking parachute thing in this movie, can you think of how horrible those effects would be? Like, holy shit. But yeah, the acting. Wesley Snipes is Neil Shaw. He does a decent job once again. He's not nearly as good as in the first movie. He's not as charismatic since this is his later years. This is after he did that. What was that one direct-to-video movie? I've seen clips from it, and his acting was just so... He seemed so bored. The Marksman. Yeah, that was three years before this one. Yeah, his acting in The Marksman looked like he just did not want to be there. He does a decent job in this. He gets to show off more of his martial arts, which is great for a Wesley Snipes movie. You want him to show off his martial arts. Athena Karkanis plays Heather. Athena Karkanis, she's an actress that people would probably remember from films like... Well, TV show-wise, she was in a show called Manifest about a plane that, like, goes forward in time. It was a big hit on Netflix. I don't think it's a Netflix show the first couple seasons. I'm pretty sure the first couple seasons it was on ABC or something. But people liked it. She was in Saw 4, 5, and 6 as, I do remember her character. I liked her character. Agent Perez. And she was in Survival of the Dead. She played the lesbian character. Which, I mean, if you're going to have a lesbian character, make her pretty. So, she was decent in the film. I liked her character. I will say one thing. She is such an obvious Canadian. When she's in other movies, you can very much hear her Canadian accent. In this film, she does this Hispanic accent. While yes, looking at her, she can pass as Hispanic. I'm not sure of her origins. I just know she's Canadian. It sounds like she's doing Rosie Perez. And I mean that it's kind of funny. It doesn't distract me throughout the entire film. It did kind of like catch me off guard the first time she talked, because I was like, "Oh, I really like this actress." Well, I like her. I don't think she's amazing. I think she's a decent actress. But I was like, "Oh, can't wait to hear her speak." And then she's like, "You'll know my father?" And I was like, "What?" But like, I got over it soon after. Winston Reckert as Reverend Tim. I liked him. I've never seen this actor before. Apparently, he's really not starred anything huge. He's been in a lot of random stuff. But yeah, I liked him. Ryan McDonald. Oh yeah, Ryan McDonald as Alex. He's like a hacker that ends up helping Neil Shaw. I liked his character, and I was actually invested in him. Even though he's kind of just oh, I'm funny because I know everything kind of character, I still liked him. I thought he was fun. He was a fun character. And Lachlan Monroe as Garrett. He's a guy running for he's running for in the senator race. And he's also an actor. He's playing an actor, and I didn't see that part coming. But yeah, this film, what is there to say about it? It has literally nothing to do with the first film other than Neil Shaw being in it. There is almost no mention of anything that happened in the first film. Nothing about Ann Archer's character. Nothing about Donald Sutherland's character. Michael Bihn's character. Not even Marie Matiko's character, which at the end of Art of War 1, this isn't really a spoiler, at the end of Art of War 1, he went on to France because she mentioned, "Oh, I'm imagining myself in France, sipping a latte," or something like that. And then at the end of the movie, they're in France, living happily ever after, and then a person takes a picture of them So I guess you're supposed to assume they either broke up or she died, which that would have been very nice information to tell me, or tell any of the fucking people watching the film. Both of these both the first and second film were filmed in Canada. I know that for sure, because on the back you see. You can't see it because it can't focus. I've got it on manual focus, but there's the Canada and Quebec logo, and down here on the second, there's the Canada logo. So, or there's the Canada logo. But yeah, I don't know what that has to do with anything. I just thought it was interesting. But yeah, this film, what? It's I will say, the Canadian ratings for the first Art of War is the Canadian rating for the first Art of War is an 18A, and then the second is a 14A. I'm pretty sure the second one's bloodier. It definitely has more blood. I'm guessing just the scene in the first one of the dead Chinese people in the shipping crate was a lot, maybe. But yeah, I keep getting off track. This sequel. This is a decent sequel. It's trying to do its own thing. It's not just copying the first. The only way it's copying the first is that some people think that he killed the senatorial candidate that's running against the female one. Rachel Hayward played Senator Carlson. Yeah. Other than that, it really has nothing to do with it. It's basically its own movie, which I usually like that in sequels. I like sequels that try to do something different. There's a series of Don the Dragon Wilson films called Blood Fist, and there's like 8 of them, and literally like the 7th one, the random one, the 7th one is like a Die Hard type of thing, even though most of the movies are like fight movies. So, I mean, and then they turn into like gun movies. I mean, I haven't seen them. I just know from people talking about them. But yeah, just it's hard to explain this movie. It's a mess, but it's a fun mess. I'll get to the pros and cons. Wesley Snipes, Athena Karkanis, Lachlan Monroe, Winston Reckert, and Ryan McDonald all do decent enough jobs. They work in the film. The score from Peter Allen was decent. It's not as good as the first one's by a mile. The first one's was one of the best parts of the first movie. The score feels very urban, I guess is how you say it. It feels, I won't say generic. It doesn't feel generic. It has its own identity, but it worked. It worked with what I was seeing on the screen. The fight scenes are decently well handled, not fantastic, decently. When I said that it had better action than the first, I mean that in that there's better editing for sure. But there are some weird editing bits in this film with some of the action where somebody will like punch and then it'll be like shh, and then repeat the shot but like slow motion, and I was like, that's not needed. But ran at a good pace. This film's only hour and 43 minutes. It maybe didn't need to be that, but like the ending, there's like 3 different endings to this film. But other than that, I don't think the film was badly paced. There were action scenes sprinkled throughout, unlike with Art of War 1, where it was like a couple action scenes at the beginning and a couple at the end, which I don't think that's good pacing for an action movie. I know like Point Break, the movie that everybody eats the fuck up, has horrible pacing, but people keep talking about it as if it's like the best action movie ever, or one of them. And a lot of people got angry at my opinion of it. But yeah, it's, let me get to the downsides. The direction is not that great. From Joseph Rosenek, I don't know. I don't recognize his name. He directed The 13th Floor, which I've still yet to see. I've heard people like it. He also did The Contractor, which is another direct-to-video Wesley Snipes film. But that also has Lena Headey, so I'm actually kind of like... I'm kind of curious. Also, Charles Dance, like... Not a bad lineup right there. But yeah, there's weird direct-to-video isms from the mid to late 2000s in this, with weird, like... The Walking Tall Lone Justice did this. The first Walking Tall Kevin Sorbo sequel didn't do this, but there were, like, every action scene there would be at least one shot that's like zoom in and then zoom out in the same shot, and it kind of gets annoying at times. It didn't bother me in this film. I was actually kind of invested in the characters. Some of the sound effects, like in the first film, are not that good. There's some of the sound effects make no sense. Like, he'll do like this on like somebody's arm, bend their arm back, and it'll go like boom. And I was like, what? There's some bits of CG blood that look really bad, and I actually moved it frame by frame. Like, during a scene where a bunch of hackers are getting killed, one is sliding down a wall, and the CG blood trail behind him clips over his face for like a good 10 frames, and it looks really bad. It looks really amateurish. And this film cost $13.3 million. They should have cleaned that the fuck up. But yeah, with that out of the way, let me get to spoilers. Spoilers. At the end of the film, you come to find out that Lachlan Monroe's character, Garrett, was in on the whole thing. Like, he was... You find out that he sent Wesley Snipes to clean all this shit up so that he could win the race by a landslide. And the twists make sense, but oh no, wait for this twist. The woman that he's had this entire time, Athena Karkanis' character, has been saying she's the daughter of Wesley Snipes' mentor. So Wesley Snipes ends up going to Garrett's function, where he's like promoting the fact that he's running for senator, and Athena Karkanis' character shows up. Turns out she was a CIA agent hired to get Wesley Snipes to do all this shit so that he could win senator, and she just somehow factors into this. And Garrett keeps being like, no, join us. You can join us and reap the benefits. And then this entire time, Wesley Snipes is staring at Athena Karkanis, like staring into her eyes, because he basically like believed her and like fell for her trap. And then like for a good minute, and then after that he shoots her in the stomach, and I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting him to walk away or something. I wasn't expecting that, and I liked that I didn't see that coming. She basically bleeds out on the ground. Snipes drops his gun, and then Lachlan Monroe picks it up. Garrett picks it up, points it at him, and his followers, the people that are watching him run for senator or whatever, see him pick up the gun and point it at him and pull the trigger, and there's no ammo left. And he basically gets fucked over without having to be killed. I like the ending. I think it makes little to no sense at points, but I like it. It's a definitive ending to this character. I mean, until the third one, which I really don't have much faith for the third one, because Wesley Snipes isn't even in it. And it was made a year later. But it's actually made through Sony instead of... The second one wasn't made through Sony. It was made through Stage 6, which I think is an indie company. I've heard of them. But yeah, oh wait, not even the first one was made by Sony. First one was Franchise Pictures and Morgan Creek. But yeah, still, all in all, this film, it's a decent time if you know what you're getting into. If you liked what you saw in the first film, this film is more of the action side. It's less of the spy thriller side. And while there are still twists and turns, I still enjoyed it. I can't really lie to myself about this. I'm not gonna lie about my opinion, but yeah, I had fun with it. So do with that what you will. Don't get mad at me if you watch it and you're like, it wasn't that great. That's your choice to watch it. It's not my, I chose to watch this of my own volition. So I'm just giving recommendations. But yeah, that's about it for this episode. If you ever see this at Dollar General, they're usually like $10, which I'd say $10 for these three isn't that bad. But yeah, and they're all on separate discs, which is nice. But yeah, hope y'all enjoyed the review. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and Movie Review Next Door out.